Hello everyone, welcome back to Arpita Sharma classes. So from today we are starting with governance. आज हम एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर पढ़ने जा रहे हैं हमारे इंडियन पॉलिटी में, दैट इज गवर्नेंस. बिकॉज गवर्नेंस इज नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर योर प्रीलिम्स बट इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर जीएस पेपर 2 इंडियन पॉलिटी जो है उसके लिए गवर्नेंस काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, सो दिस बिकम्स रियली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर मेंस आंसर राइटिंग. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सिविल सर्विसेज और व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट government activities, ठीक है, the first thing that comes to our mind is policy implementation. The government, it basically frames policies, and as civil servants you have to implement those policies, right? Am I right? So here when we talk about governance, the first important point in governance is policy implementations. And policy implementation, it matters as much as the policy itself. जितनी पॉलिसी की रेलेवेंस है उतने ही उसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की भी रेलेवेंस है, उतना ही जरूरी उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी होता है. So this chapter today will be focusing about how to implement the policies, what is implementing policy, the policies, and what are the issues which we face while implementing these policies. We are going to tackle with all of these. Okay. Now when we talk about implementing policies, so here when we talk about governance, we talk about policy implementation, and policy implementation includes public policy. What exactly is public policy? सबसे पहले ये समझ लेते हैं. देखो, public policy basically is the study, the creation and the implementation of what? Of laws, regulations and funding priorities. किसी भी लॉ को इम्प्लीमेंट करना हो, स्टडी करना हो, क्रिएट करना हो, दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ पब्लिक पॉलिसी. इफ यू वांट टू क्रिएट, स्टडी और इम्प्लीमेंट रेगुलेशंस ऑन पब्लिक टू इन ऑर्डर टू मेक श्योर दैट लॉ एंड ऑर्डर इज इन प्लेस, दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ पब्लिक पॉलिसी. फंडिंग प्रायोरिटीज भी पब्लिक पॉलिसी का ही पार्ट होते हैं. नाउ पब्लिक पॉलिसी, स्टडी, क्रिएशन एंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ लॉज, रेगुलेशंस, बट बाय whom? Who will implement these laws and regulations? Local government, state government and federal government. And who will assist them in implementing it? That will be the civil servants. That will be you. Okay? So that is the essence of public policy. ये आपका essence हो जाता है public policy का. ठीक है? That is the basis of your governance. Okay? Point clear? Now we will understand what are the important points in governance. यानी कि आपको कौन कौन से core topics governance में पढ़ने हैं. What you have to study in governance. The core and the most important topics here in governance would be the, write it down, the development process. The development process. ठीक है? We will study about industry. हम पढ़ेंगे industry के बारे में. We will study about the important aspects of what? Of governance. Governance के जितने भी important aspects होते हैं, I'll just write it down over here. Yes. ठीक है, we will study that also. We will study the role of civil services. Role of, write it down, civil services. Civil services के roles भी हम इसके अंदर पढ़ेंगे because you are also going to be a part of governance. Then you will study welfare schemes. ये तो current affairs का part है that you have to study. ठीक है, welfare की जितनी भी schemes होती हैं वो भी पढ़ना है vulnerable sections के लिए. ठीक है, role of NGOs, self help groups, citizen charter. सिटीजन चार्टर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है जो पढ़ना होता है हमें गवर्नेंस में. ठीक है, देन प्रेशर ग्रुप्स, ई गवर्नेंस, दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट वी नीड टू स्टडी. इवन इन 2014, 2015 and 17 questions on, write it down, the role of self help groups were asked. So this is also important. We are taking it directly from the syllabus itself. हम सिलेबस से ही ले रहे हैं इन चीजों को. This is the topic of governance. Then you have to study the ARC reports also. Governance में ना आपको यहाँ पर ARC reports भी पढ़नी होती है. second ARC की report, second ARC report. Okay, that you have to study. और second ARC report में which chapter you have to study? Chapter 1, 9, 10, 11 and 12. These are the chapters that you have to study plus practice PYQs और आपका governance का portion will be ready. Now first we are going to start with citizens charter. What exactly is citizens charter? देखो, charter basically refers to a document. So citizens charter also would be a document. Okay, you have to draw this flow chart along with this lecture so that it would help you in the last moment revision. Citizens charter क्या होता है? Charter means document. What document? This kind of document represents सिस्टमैटिक एफर्ट्स, सिस्टम वाइज एफर्ट्स, या आपके सिस्टमैटिक एफर्ट्स को रिप्रेजेंट करता है सिस्टम वाइज. एंड व्हाई दीज एफर्ट्स आर मेड? द एफर्ट्स टू फोकस ऑन, व्हाई द एफर्ट्स टू फोकस ऑन कमिटमेंट ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टुवर्ड्स इट्स सिटीजन्स. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की कमिटमेंट पे फोकस करना है. क्या कमिटमेंट? सिटीजन्स के टुवर्ड्स, वट एवर कमिटमेंट द गवर्नमेंट हैज टुवर्ड्स सिटीजन्स. टू फोकस ऑन दोज कमिटमेंट्स अ सिस्टमेटिक एफर्ट इज रिक्वायर्ड which is presented in a document which is called Citizens Charter. So Citizens Charter will tell you how systematically you are going to focus on your commitments to fulfill the promises that you have made to the citizens. Okay, that is Citizens Charter. Point clear? So Citizens Charter will ensure what? क्या ensure करेगा Citizens Charter? It would ensure public services. It would ensure public services. ठीक है? That public services are are reaching to the public or the citizens in a systematic manner. Okay, it will also have, write it down, it will also have a vision and a mission, vision and mission statement of the government or of any organization. Okay, point clear? Now another important point here that you need to remember is, this is important for prelims also, that Citizen Charter CC, it is not legally, write it down, this is important for prelims, not legally enforceable. इसको आप legally enforce नहीं करा सकते. So that is why it is non-justiciable. You cannot take it to the court. It is just a document that lists down the efforts that the government or the organization are going to take to fulfill their commitment towards the citizens, to ensure public services are reaching to the people. Okay, so it's just a document that lists down the efforts on the part of the organization. So that is why it is not legally enforceable. It is non-justiciable. These are two important points that you can write in the introduction also. Now this concept of Citizen Charter was first implemented and planned in United Kingdom by the Conservative Party by John Major in 1991. The basic aim at that time of Citizens Charter was to continuously improve the quality of public service for the people of the country. Okay. And what is the nodal department of Citizens Charter in India? It is the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances of the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. They basically are responsible to provide more responsive and citizen-friendly governance. Okay. That you have to remember. Now, when we talk about Citizens Charter, we taught you about the public services, right? But when it comes to delivering the service to the public, there are certain principles that we have to keep in mind. What are those principles? So there are core principles. The concept of Citizens Charter enshrines the trust between service provider. Please draw this flow chart. This will help you in mains also. Concept of Citizens Charter basically talks about trust. Trust between who? Trust between, किसके बीच का trust? The trust between, write it down, the service provider SP and its users. Users are the citizens. Users क्या है इसमें? Public है, citizens हैं. ठीक है? Trust between service provider and user. Service provider would be the organization or the government. That is Citizens Charter. Basically, in short, when you want to summarize Citizens Charter, it enshrines the trust between service provider and the users. There are 6 principles of Citizens Charter that we need to understand. First is quality. Whatever services you are providing to the people, the quality should be good. Value. It should be value-based, value-oriented. Participative. Citizens should participate in the services that you are providing to the citizens. If you are framing policies for the citizen and citizen is not participating in it, then the policies would fail. Choice. ठीक है? The citizens should be given the choice of availing those services. ऐसा नहीं आप थोप रहे हो. You cannot force services on the citizen. Accountability. If you are planning policies for the citizens, you should also make yourself accountable. Standards होने चाहिए उसके and transparency होनी चाहिए. No corruption. Okay, these are the 6 principles of service delivery that you need to understand in Citizens Charter. It's going to help you in your interview also. Okay, so here quality means improving the quality of services. Choice means for the choice should be given to the users wherever possible. That is the citizens. Standards means specifying what to expect within a time frame. If you are making a policy, standard means you are making a 5-year policy. Now you are making the citizens aware that within 5 years, this is what you can expect from this policy. Value means the citizen is paying taxes. So there should be value in the services you are providing to the citizens. Okay. Accountability. Accountability should be there of the government. Transparency. Rules, procedures, schemes, they should be transparent. There should be grievance redressal mechanism also. Participative. You should consult the citizens when you are framing policies for them. That is the meaning of these 6 principles. Now, when we talk about implementation of Citizens Charter in India, there are many issues, right? Citizens Charter ka India mein na implementation is not very good. Why? Because there are issues which are hovering the implementation. So what are the shortcomings of Citizen Charter in India? First shortcoming is it is devoid of participative mechanism. Just now we studied the principles of Citizen Charter of public service delivery. We said that citizens should participate. But in majority of cases, the Citizens Charter is not formulated through a consultative process. For example, you can give examples also. What can be the example? The farm laws. The farm laws, Citizenship Amendment Bill. Okay, these are the examples. That is why people were protesting against them, because proper consultation was not done. Okay, then second will be poor design and content. There is a lack of meaningful Citizen Charter and absence of critical information. So farm laws can again be the example, or the IT draft bill. The draft bills on cyber crime, cyber security. Okay, poor design and content. Lack of public awareness. Only a small percentage of citizens are aware of the commitments which are made in the Citizens Charter. If you go into the rural areas, nobody knows about Citizens Charter. So there is lack of public awareness. Then charters are rarely updated, making it one-time exercise frozen in time. That is not going to help make Citizens Charter a success in India. No proper consultation, right? NGOs are not consulted. Civil society organizations are not consulted. These are citizen-centric, but no stakeholder is consulted. That is wrong. Then the standards are not defined. Okay? They are making policies for 5 years, but then they are extending those policies. That is not going to help make the policy a success. Policy बना देते हैं 5 साल की, फिर उसको extend करते जाते हैं. That is wrong. Okay, and that is why citizens, they show lack of interest in the Citizens Charter. So these are the overall issues in the Citizens Charter that affect the governance also. What is governance? When you are governing through implementing public policies, and when the public policies are having these issues, then how can you make sure that governance is proper? Okay, so these are the problems. But how can we resolve these problems? So what are the solutions? Here are the solutions. First, the consultation process should be wider. Citizen Charter should be formulated after extensive consultations within the organization by a meaningful dialogue with the civil society. There should be firm commitments which should be made. Citizen Charter must be precise and make firm commitments of service delivery standards to the citizens. Commitment should not be such that you are making a commitment today and then you are breaking it tomorrow. Redressal mechanism should be there. If there is any default on the promises which are made on the side of organization or the government, then redressal mechanism should be put in place to solve those problems. Periodic evaluation of Citizens Charter should be done. It should be updated on monthly basis or quarterly basis or yearly basis. Officers should be held accountable. So officers should be held accountable. A specific responsibility should be fixed if in case there is a default in implementing the Citizens Charter. And civil society, NGOs, self-help groups should be included in the process of policy formulation, so that wider approach and opinion can be taken when the policies are being framed for the citizens. That should be followed. That should be done. These should be the solution. And then there is a model also, very famous model called the Sevottam model. This is double T. Sevottam model. What is Sevottam model? Basically, write it down. It is a generic framework. क्या है ये? ये एक generic framework है. For what? For, write it down, for achieving for achieving excellence, in what? In public services. In public services. For achieving excellence in, write it down, public services or public service delivery. Public service delivery. And there are 3 modules. इसके अंदर ना 3 modules आते हैं. First module is citizen charter. Second module is, write it down, grievance redressal mechanism. And third model क्या है? Third module आ जाता है आपका यहाँ पर capability building. Capability building for service delivery. These are the 3 models or modules in the Soivottam model. Basically, why these modules have been created? In order to make sure that the citizens charter or the promises or commitments made in the citizens charter, they are successful. यहाँ तक पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया? तो यहाँ पर हम होमवर्क क्वेश्चन आपको दे रहे हैं. व्हाट इज द होमवर्क क्वेश्चन नंबर 1? एक्सप्लेन बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ सिटीजंस चार्टर्स मूवमेंट and bring out its importance. तो हमने 6 principles पढ़े थे. You have to explain those 6 principles. First, in the intro, you will write in 4 to 5 lines what is Citizens Charter, and then in the body you will explain the principles, and in the conclusion you will summarize the importance of the principles in successfully implementing the Citizens Charter. Summarize the importance of these principles, how these principles can successfully make a citizens charter a success. तो इसको आपको कम से कम 200 words में लिखना है. It will be a 12.5 marks का question for you. Okay. So this is the first homework question. Rest of the 3 homework questions will be given separately for the paid students on the separate group on Telegram that we have formulated. Okay.